Love is Blind UK season 2, episodes 1 through 4. I think my favorite reality TV show is Love is Blind because the concept is so enthralling and the success rate is high enough that it also makes you genuinely root for people that are good and that you know that they can find love. The possibility of love is there, but then also the possibility to be incredibly entertained and left with a bunch of drama is also present. And that just is what makes for good TV. My name is Rusetica. This is my casual channel where I talk about anything casual or monumental in relation to mostly pop culture things. And today just happens to be a TV show. This is where I talk standout moments about the episode. If something stood out to you, but it did not stand out to me, please comment it down below because I'm like guaranteed to miss something. My neighbors are being exceptionally loud in this video. I did not realize. Sorry in advance. Yes, genuinely, oh my god. The dramatic preview gets me so excited for this show, although it's in a very interesting style. Here is what I want to see out of the season. Of course, we have our typical Love is Blind like stereotypes. You know, we have our power couple, we have our manipulating Africans. Too real. What I want to see is I want to see a powerful couple as wholesome as Cam and Lauren. This is controversial, but I want to see a same-sex couple from the same side who thought they were going in to find a man, but they came out finding a man or a woman. Sorry, I want to spice it up a bit. I want to see a proper villain. No nuance. I want a really bad reveal. It's just been a while since people have been like, ooh, God, oh my god. That's just what I want to see. So let's get into what the heck we actually are gonna see. Oh my god, my stupid forgot to ask you if you could like this video. If you could like this video, I would appreciate it so much and I would genuinely appreciate you. Thank you so much in advance. I'll be talking about this episode by episode, so we'll start with episode 1. And to comment too. Sorry, if you could also do that. We are introduced to Ashley with that spelling. Ashley is like a very kind of fun, bubbly, outgoing person. Same with Billy. They're kind of incredibly similar. Billy is a army physical trainer. They're getting on like a house on fire. You know what's actually really interesting? Everywhere else but the US uses that phrase, I feel. Billy has been married before. But it's interesting because he kind of uses that thing that a lot of people be using, and it's a lot of men typically be like, I did not see the divorce coming. So it kind of makes me feel like, okay, did you not see it coming due to like lack of reflection and emotional intelligence, or what is that? And so I kind of feel like it might be revealed throughout the show. I don't know, maybe that's a red flag to be like, I didn't think that I was going to get divorced. Or maybe was it just a reflection of like, he knows exactly why he got divorced, but he didn't see it coming for the sake of like hopes. I don't know. I just feel like whenever men say that, I didn't think it. It's like we are introduced to Sophie, 28, obviously beautiful, very straightforward, honestly a bit mechanic. And she referred to herself as being a bit of a cow. What does that mean? Somebody let me know what it means because my guess is probably incorrect, but I find that very interesting for her to describe herself like that. We get introduced to a few people. We land on Kieran. They are Barbie and Ken. Like, and I think that they also have that hot people syndrome where they've never been obsessed with people due to a lack of proper emotional bonds and transparency. Because when you're both hot, it's like physical. It's probably the top that you've been like drawn to. Is there always going to be like one UK man that I'm just like, you're too perfect, where's the body? You know what I mean? Like, where's the body in your basement? Nothing overt is off about Kieran, but there should be, because you can't be that beautiful and that perfect and that emotionally intelligent, right? I don't know, maybe I just have problems. Kieran, we get introduced to him. We go from Kieran to Megan. Megan is the redhead. Megan has a much more like light, bubbly energy, which I kind of am more drawn to. I think Sophie is kind of brave for coming on and like opening up, but Megan just like lifts the energy of the room and the show. It is revealed that Kieran is a video game marketer and he's self-proclaimed nerdy. He's like, oh, well, deep down inside, you wouldn't be able to tell. That's how you know that he's attractive. That's how I was thinking. Like, if somebody said that to me in the pod, like, oh, I'm like, I'm a secret nerd. It's like, okay, so you're physically attractive. I love Kieran and Megan more than I love him and Sophie. that's just what I wrote at this time. I'm looking at my notes as I was watching the show. I was writing these things, so I'm just gonna react at the pace of which I was writing. Patrick. Anyone see Ken from Love is Blind US in Patrick? It's the hair, but there's also, I mean, it's the hair, it's even the skin tone. It's like they also have like both like a quietness that's a little off-putting that just, I feel like, I don't know. He's a human design coach. Red flags basically is what I'm saying. Red flags kind of sketchy. He has this whole thing with his spleen. That's like the first thing that he says is like, a lot of people follow their heart, but I follow my spleen. And that like, you think that that would end like right there, but it really just does continue. And I wanted to respect the uniqueness of it, to be like, oh my god, an odd individual. I love an odd individual. But no, when you're off put by people, they kind of do prove themselves to be correct, to be like, you should be off put by me. He gets on with Anu. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. God. If not, it'll just be what it is. I believe it's Anu. Anu. So they bond over religious and spiritual practices and traditions. This is the thing is, I said this before, and I probably say it like every season. When men lead with being religious or spiritual, I just do not trust that. That's like the like lead of your personality is how much you are spiritually in tune. Also, I did not say at the beginning, please, my God, please do not mind my neighbors. They don't give a damn about me at all. They don't care about me. They will make noises. And it's so hard because it's really unavoidable. But I'd like for this video to be quiet. I was gonna say something else, but I'm distracted by my neighbor. Sarova. I love that name. Sarova? That's so beautiful. So she's Indian. Yes, for AAPI. Like I'm just so happy. Also, the UK, I've noticed for some reason, Love is Blind UK is always just like naturally more diverse, but US is like known as like the melting pot or whatever, but it feels like more for, I don't know. Basically, because I think I went into it thinking it would be like a lot more like blonde hair, blue eyed, fully, and then it kind of surprised me in that way. Sarova mentioned that she's only dated Indian men previous, and she's looking for her Indian Zac Efron. That was really fun and cute. We see Cal, her introduction to Cal. He's the second person to point out that she has a posh accent, which is very interesting. She's an owner of a co-owner of a medical company. They both have really healthy habits and bond over I guess being co-owners. It seems to be going on well. I really like Sarova. There's something about her that stands out related to like her energy. She just feels like a real person, but then also leads with vulnerability in a way that does not feel manipulative, I guess. So then we have Ashley and Billy. They just have such good energy. Oh my goodness. I love to see the energy that they have together. They bond over prioritizing intimacy. She mentions that she's also a flight attendant. I didn't mention that before. And that is not a problem until later. So Kieran and Megan the redhead. Kieran asks, "How can I give you butterflies?" What a good question. How can I give you butterflies? He's so good at asking questions that are like questions that are curious about intimacy and that heighten like sexual tension within the conversations. I love that. Oh my god. And then we have Kieran and Sophie. It just feels awkward because he asked that same question, like, how can I give you butterflies? And she's like, I mean, it'll be fine in person. You'll see me in person and you'll be fine. And I get that it's just a personality difference, I think. It's just a disconnect because of her personality. But it's just really hard because you can just tell he's trying so hard to get some sort of energy and it's just not going. I feel like some people would maybe even villainize Sophie. I would hope not. Just because I feel like her personality has been built because she's had a tough go. But like she's not like overtly like horrible, malicious. She just I think is naturally just like stiff. Sarova and Cal, we get the first story of vulnerability with Cal and about how he had a brother with an army background and then somebody with or a brother with substance abuse issues. That's really hard to open up about, and I'm really happy that he could kind of lead with that. And I just love to see a man be reflective about his emotions. Ooh, it's either like great and like, oh, I'd love to see it, or that's gonna be brought up for manipulation later. Ooh. So we have Ashley and Billy also. Again, so Billy feels like their jobs do not align and it could be a deal breaker for him. I feel like this is kind of hard because feel like you see him getting into his head a little bit too much, but also it's incredibly valid to have an experience with somebody who has worked the job that the person that you're interested in has worked, and to know that it didn't work out and to be afraid of that, right? I feel like it is. So we have Patrick and Anu. Patrick has a Nigerian and Jamaican mix. Anu is Nigerian. Patrick, I don't know if they're just not showing him being inquisitive, but he's not being inquisitive in the way that Anu is. And it kind of grosses me out whenever I see people like just not asking questions and she's the one driving the conversation. Like, he's the one I feel like who's honestly trying to come off more interesting. And that is where spiritual men kind of gross me out, is like, it always feels like it's a try, like you're trying really hard. It doesn't feel like it comes natural. It feels like, oh, I lead with my spleen and this is my thing that I do for work and I need to trust my whatever. Because then they don't actually like do the work of being inquisitive, asking the questions that she's asking, being like, so where did your how emotionally mature do you feel like you are? How emotionally intelligent do you feel like you are? What shaped your spiritual whatever? You know, those things that you need to ask. He's not doing that. He's kind of just talking about his interests and not really more about her. It just kind of triggered me a bit. Did he trigger anybody else? Because I feel like he was weird. I feel like he was weird, and I don't know how people are going to take this because I haven't seen a single review yet. We have Cal and Sarova. Whoa, this was a very interesting question because we're bringing up Indian and Pakistani history and a little bit of a feud dynamic, it seems. I did not know that there was conflict between the two. I am curious now. I am attempting to read a little bit more. I have a book channel. Check it out if you would like to look at book content. But my interest is peaked enough to look at books to educate me. But also, if somebody in the comments like has any sort of feelings on this as it relates to two people dating, let me know, because I find it very fascinating. I mainly asked about the Cal and Sarova thing because I think some people could say like, don't even attempt to date, respect your two cultures, respect going towards what your parents may potentially want you to do versus like causing a little bit of a storm. I just find it very, very fascinating. I do. So Ash and Billy, we end off on a cliffhanger, which is the deal breaker of the cabin crew, of her being cabin crew. And honestly, I kind of felt like, okay, this is something that Ashley's not really going to care about, because she's the one, and she has a positive attitude about it. And I feel like he's going to be like, well, she's a positive. And then that's basically what happens. We go into episode 2. Ashley and Billy committing to like basically at least trying. I do think it's important that it was entertained as a deal breaker, but it was important for them to be like, let's just even see. Like, we owe ourselves the chance. It's interesting when we get introduced to people like later in episodes, because it kind of feels like, how are we still being introduced to people when we are like already in people's stories that like maybe have deal breakers? So we have Javen. He's been single all his life. It's not a red flag to be single all your life, but when your communication around it is like, I have no problem dating women, I'm competitive, hide your girl, to me it kind of feels like, how serious are we? I don't know. How serious can we be? So in meeting him, we also get introduced to Katisha. She says she normally goes for emotionally unavailable men, as most beautiful women do. My God. These beautiful women just go for these men. And she basically mentions like she's never been treated right. And then she keeps going towards these men. Like, it's crazy how the most beautiful women in the world are just used to just being like treated as just like the most dull. It's it just blows my mind every single season. Tisha, we learned this from Scotland. She's introduced to a soft-spoken king, Demola. I don't think I pronounced that correct. Demola. I love that name. I really love that name. He was raised around his grandmother. I feel like that's a green flag. People who are raised around their grandparents, I think, just have a innate caring aspect to them. I don't know. That's kind of a generalization, but I feel that. And he comes off as kind of awkward, but I think he just has a soft nature. So then Javen is basically kind of being a little shit stirrer. He kind of just is trying to be competitive. Going back into Ashley and Billy, they have the conversation that indicates they're on a proposal path, and love is mentioned, and that's Kieran and Megan the redhead get very vulnerable about their family situations. So Kieran talks about how his parents got divorced when he was 3. I just can't even imagine. My husband is kind of in the same situation, and I just genuinely can't imagine seeing my parents as just two like individuals who have like that you haven't seen together really. It sounds like his mom withheld love or some sort of care, maybe emotionally immature. I just read this book called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. 10 out of 10, highly recommend, especially for him. Well, I mean, I don't even know if she was emotionally mature, but it sounds like it. He's worked on an adult relationship with her, and it seems like that was hard but worth it. He's so emotionally mature that I just can't, I'm not used to seeing it on his level of attractive. You know what I mean? What brand of human are you? So Megan talks about her distanced father. Her father, who she did not really grow up with, like I think that they said, I just didn't really see him, and then one day she served him at her job. She served him, and then nothing was said, and then he came back and gave her a card that basically had nothing on it with like a nothing response. I cannot imagine. I can't imagine that trauma of serving your father with his like was it a new family? I need to get off this. I can see Kieran potentially draw to Sophie because he's used to emotionally immature or emotionally distant women. No, right? I'm very, very drawn to the fact that him and Megan got along. And I was like, no, he's gonna go towards Sophie because that's familiar patterns, and you typically go for the people who are like your parents. Ooh. Billy and Ashley get engaged. Duh. Thank goodness. Happy for them. But concerned about the realism of when they get back into the real world. I feel like it could be one of those couples where so in love in the pods and then things just do not work out. We get introduced to Jed, which feels a little bit late in the game to almost be an episode of 3, almost be halfway done. Well, to be halfway done and to be introduced to somebody, but oh well. I mean, I'm not complaining. Jed, who the one of the first things that he says is I feel like, being half Lebanese adds some spice to me, which is I don't know, there's something about that as a full POC that kind of just feels like it's a little bit of spice. It just, I don't know. When we get introduced to Jed, we also get introduced to Barda. Barda was raised or brought up Muslim, and Jed's dad is Muslim. And then also Barda is, what was it? She's Albanian. Interesting. All right, so we have Sophie and Kiernan. I like that Sophie is going through exploration of letting her guard down and kind of being a little bit more emotionally vulnerable. But I just feel like it's just too much emotional work that has to be done. I kind of just feel annoyed a little bit by her presence, and I feel bad for saying that I do. But it's just kind of like her energy is just not at the level of Kieran's. I'm proud of her, but it's a little too much. So we have Ashley and Billy's reveal. It's wholesome. It's all good energy. To have a good couple is to have a little bit of a boring couple. And honestly, I love to see it from them. I know. Then we have Damola and Tisha. I just feel so sad. Okay, no, I'll get into the sadness later. So Katisha and Damola, they both seem so aligned and they could work so well together. Katisha mentioned that her mom is Jamaican Spanish and they live in Scotland, which is so fascinating how those is it fascinating really? Or is it? I don't know. I feel like it's kind of interesting. Sophie and Kieran. Kieran gives something to Megan, and Megan has a very big reaction about it. And honestly, I found it to be a little bit too much. I found it a little bit to be like, okay, he just gave you like a little ornament with his cologne on it. He didn't give you like $1 million. And I'm just cynical, but the way that it was so explosive, Sophie mentions later it felt a little disrespectful, and it did. And it did. Because even the guys could hear it. He didn't give you the ring already. Felt a little bit over the top. You know, Sophie was upset, and I would be too. Episode 3 rolls around. We open up with Sophie bringing up her discomfort with a gift reaction. I don't blame her at all. At all. Sophie's like, it just felt like a little bit disrespectful. It's a little disrespectful. Jed and Barda talk. Barda brings up how her family had to immigrate to the UK due to war at 4 years old. Oh my word. Barda is, she kind of, I think, started off introducing herself as like independent, And she's like independent due to very traumatic reasons. Had to start working at 13. Both of her parents had to learn English. Her whole family had to just learn English, work to make a living. And she doesn't dwell on it too much. Like, she's truly very admirable in the way that she kind of just is like, it's such a descriptor. She feels like she has a lot of strength. Sarova and Cal. Okay, they are doing their reveal. And the reveal to me was so scary because I was like, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Who knows what the heck they're gonna look like? And at first there's no music, and when there's no music, I get really panicky, as probably a lot of people do. I'm like, are they gonna like that? But they're both happy, which is great. No, just kidding. It is great. I was kind of hoping for a bad reveal at some point. And I mean, it's better that they're happy because, energetically and physically, they match each other. Prince and princess. And he does give a little bit of Zac Efron. There's something Zac-esque. Wholesome. It was beautiful. I'm excited for them. Like, I'm genuinely excited for them because they both don't really show any red flags other than the fact that, their families could potentially have conflict and that would be difficult to deal with. But they both seem progressive. Their families seem potentially progressive. Patrick and Anu. So Patrick, he's showing red flags kind of immediately, asking, if your mom rejected me, what would you do? Like, how would you react? That's a weird question. That's a weird question because it's not overtly like a leading question, but it is kind of leading to give one of two answers. Oh, I would be devastated because I love my mom so much, or oh, I wouldn't listen, and I feel like that's kind of leading because he wants her to, choose like him in that. And I did not like that. He's kind of talking about how like he like wouldn't care about what outside people would have to say about his own decisions. There is I do not want to agree with this. I really do not, because I do not agree with him. But on a different level, I see what he's saying, because if like depends on how close you are with your family as well. If there are people saying like, "Oh, I don't really see him for you," it like if you had like a strained relationship with your mom, to a lot of people, like if you had a strained relationship, that opinion wouldn't matter. But she's saying like, "Oh, I'm close with my mom, so I would have to listen to her because my mom knows me better than I know myself." But he's like, you know what? I wouldn't care. I've had to learn to be more selfish and not be a people pleaser, and I've had to learn to follow my own blah blah blah. And I wouldn't care about what society says. It felt odd because it felt like, oh, you just asked for this thing so that you could go on this rant. I've even had to catch myself doing that every once in a while. I'll be like asking my husband things so that I can bring up my own thing. But in order to have a real conversation, remove the like, oh, I'm gonna bring this up after she brings this up. I feel like that's his whole entire thing. His whole entire thing is asking questions so he can bring up his own opinion. Does anybody disagree with me? Please let me know if y'all are like, we stand Patrick. Katisha and Damola, they are set on each other, but Katisha is nervous because he's so committed to her. And honestly, I didn't really see it till later, the reason why she might have been nervous, because it was like, girl, just like trust the people treat you well and they like you a lot. But later, I feel like it makes sense. Sophie and Kieran end things because Sophie was ultimately hurt at the fact that she was somebody's number two. I feel her, but the way that she kind of talks about it is that like really sad way when people who break up with somebody are like, I'm nobody's number two. I've never been number two in my life. I've never been number two in my life. It's okay. Like, it's okay to like say the things like hurt you. I don't know, just like it feels very egotistical the way that she was kind of saying, I've never been, it like she's speaking out of hurt, and that makes sense. And I'll let the response be valid because she was upset. Patrick. Okay. Anu is catching up to the fact that Patrick is a weirdo because duh. He pulls the what would you add to my life? Yeah. What would you add to my life? An end to this conversation. That's what I would add to your life. I'm uncomfortable. It's just off. The vibes are off. So is the proposal. The proposal is off. Yeah, like I get maybe somebody could say that in good faith, but it's just kind of like, what would I add to your life? What would you add to? What the heck? He just wants so much. He receives so much, and I don't know. What is he giving? What is he giving? So Megan and Kieran kind of get on the same page about the whole Sophie breakup thing. I have no notes. There's a cute crossword puzzle date that Barda and Jed do. I think that was cute. Damala puts her. It's because Damala is such a feminine name to me. Damala puts his heart on the line. Him and Katisha are official. Then she talks to Javen, and he just reads from his notebook, and she's like, oh my god, I'm so confused. He reads from his notebook. I don't get it because it's weird because she's so confused, like instantaneously, because she like literally was about to be like break up with him, and then she was like, and then he was like, I'm gonna sit here with my notebook and enjoy my drink, and she's like, I'm gonna sit here too. I'm gonna try my hardest not to make fun of it because it's understandable, and these people are no better than I am. I'm no better than these people. These people are no better than me. We're all humans. Whatever. We'll do anything but just say it how it is, dude. Okay, Patrick dumping Anu was so painful because she should have straight up dragged him. She should have straight up dragged him, and it's disappointing to see. Barda and Jed get engaged. What? Duh. Reveals happen. Kieran and Megan, the redhead. Surprise, surprise. Two attractive people are attracted to each other. Breaking news. Katisha breaks it up with Damola. She gets engaged to Javen. That was like instant, also. I'm disappointed, but the heart wants what it wants. And because she's never been with somebody who's emotionally available, she's going to what feels safest to her. And it's so hard as an audience member to just sit and watch because it's so disappointing. But I guess it just makes sense. So Katisha and Javen do reveal, and it more like endears you to both of them. I don't know if you felt this way. I felt this way. I was like, well, I mean, they're happy. They like what they see. She wanted somebody she was more attracted to, and she was just more attracted to him in the pods. And because he couldn't give her the affirmation that Damola could, does it mean that Damola was the more attractive, more right fit, right? But I also kind of feel like this cannot end well, right? Okay, so then we have honeymoons. They have the most beautiful vacation spot. I want to go there. That place looks beautiful. Looks rich. It just looked rich. It looks so nice. We catch up with Cal and Sarova talking, and basically just kind of catching up with the couples. They even talk about the whole Katisha breaking up with Damola thing, because I guess he was closest to Damola. I feel bad naturally also about the fact that they talked about each other's types, and then she was like, yeah, you're totally my type. I date only you. Pretty gym boys, pretty. And he was like, you're not my type at all. I go for white, blonde-eyed people. That was hard because it's like, you can see like the insecurity. I feel for her because this is probably going to get to her a little bit. You know what? All you can do is be yourself and hope for the best. Like, really though. Javen and Katisha, they're engaged, but they're not even like in love. They haven't even said I love you. Don't, like, why do people be doing this? I would hate to be engaged to somebody I don't even know I'm in love with. Sometimes you don't have to like do the whole entire steps of the show. These people be meeting up after whenever they both go home. Why don't they just both go home and date? Because I want to be on TV. Duh. Billy and Ash waking up with good energy as well. They just have good energy all around. They do. Until you find out that like your Ash is a little bit of like an instigator in these conversations with other people about other people's relationships. She really do be instigating. Everyone's kind of meeting up. There is no like, oh, you know what? I find him really attractive. There's no like temptation there of people potentially being attracted to other partners. That's like for real. Nobody's being for real about it, at least yet. Except for Sarova did have that insecurity of being like, there are two blonde white women here, but nothing overt. Javen and Katisha consummated. Cal pulls Katisha aside because everyone is curious about the last minute blindside of the Damola thing. And it feels kind of aggressive, not aggressive. It feels kind of passive aggressive to be like, "Why did you do that?" It feels a little bit like you don't have to pull her aside to do that. I mean, you get curious. Everyone's curious about it, but it's like she doesn't have to answer to you. But I'm curious too, and I kind of love to see it. I did, and that's where everything ends. Let me know. Okay, questions for the comments. How are we feeling about Katisha and the love triangle of Damola and Javen? Personally, I'm really sad that she didn't go with Damola, but you cannot help when you're more attracted to things that are even unhealthy for you, and it's so sad to see. How are we feeling about, did you feel like Kieran was better with Sophie or Kieran was better with Megan? I really find it hard to believe that anybody would think Sophie. Barda and Jed, there's really nothing to say about them, actually. How are we feeling about Patrick dumping Anu? What the heck? How are we feeling about this season in general? Let me know, comment it down below. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time of day it is. I hope you have an amazing, valuable morning, afternoon, or night.